You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast in partnership with Last Word on Sports. This is July the 29th, 2017, and with you today is myself, Carl, and the always wonderful Joel. It's the end of July, Joel. We are 1 month of off-season done. Only 2 more to go.
I don't really think about the off-season. I don't really mind. There's enough. I like baseball. There's enough baseball for me to not really care that there's no hockey right now.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you are content.
Yeah, NFL training camp. Seahawks report today.
That is the thing that's happening. And our fourth line / fifth line fantasy football league is going to be happening.
Yeah, so
it's going to be us, Tiny Mike, and you, the listeners.
Yeah, so sort of the listeners. Like, they don't really need to show up because I'm going to win.
Wow. When was the last championship you won?
I won a championship last year.
Did you?
I sure did.
Hot dog. Look at you go.
I know, in like one of the more difficult leagues to win one in, too.
Wait, did you win our Dynasty league?
I won Dynasty last year.
Really?
Dynasty that we're in together.
That is 100% one of the hardest leagues to win.
And they all hate me now. Because it was like kind of borderline before that. But now it was like full out. So you know how in a fantasy league, when someone wins, everyone kind of sends a congratulatory message, or you just kind of, and there's banter back and forth. There has been zero communication in that league at all since I won.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah.
Zero. And that's a pretty talkative league. But I'm pretty sure it's either I just broke everybody's spirit about the league, or, which I think is less likely, and the more likely thing is that they didn't like me to begin with, and now that I won the league, they're just all upset about it.
Well, I think I know there is at least one guy in the league who is not a fan of me and you combined. We got accused of collusion, which was entirely untrue. However,
the funniest part was the guy was a lawyer, or is a lawyer.
Yeah, I guess
didn't know the definition of what collusion was. That was my favorite part about that. Yeah. So, because I think he was mad that we made a trade, but I forget which of the two of us had done this, but we ended up, I think it was the Jimmy Graham trade, right?
It was the Jimmy Graham trade, yeah.
I think you literally went and offered him to everybody, and nobody responded, except me.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. there's...
And then there was, I think what made him real mad was the kicker. The second kicker trade. But that's, I'm sure this is thrilling entertainment for the listeners. So let's move on. I have some news for you, Joel, and everyone. This has been, kind of something that we brought up at the start of the off season. The last couple of weeks, it hasn't really been mentioned on the show. But my bandwagon team.
You still haven't chosen.
I have not chosen, but I have set myself a timeline.
So now, did you buy? Do you need to order a jersey so you get it in time for the season?
Anything is possible, Joel. Anything is possible.
Pretty sure it's not anything is possible, but
yeah, well, no, what I have decided is I've narrowed it down to 3 teams.
Ooh, the Leafs?
No.
The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Buds.
No. Buds no days, Joel. Buds no days. Stop dusting your camera. I look perfectly fine. So do you.
This is going to be a long show, folks. It is going to be a long show.
No, what I have done is I've narrowed it down to 3 teams, and I'm calling in for some help. So the final 3 teams, the official final 3 teams. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right.
Leafs?
No. Stop saying the Leafs. It's not the Leafs. They're moving.
But
If the Leafs were on the list, they keep moving further and further down.
why do you hate Austin Matthews?
I don't hate Austin Matthews. Well, I don't like Austin Matthews. He's fine. He's okay. Whatever. No, the final three teams are the Carolina Hurricanes, the Anaheim Ducks, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. So congrats to those teams. One of you will be my bandwagon team for the 2017-2018 season.
If you choose to cheer for Tortorella, I will lose my mind in laughter because that's not going to be a good experience. I can tell you that right now.
That is quite literally like, I want to cheer for the Jackets, and the only thing hanging me up is Torts.
Oh, and he's not going anywhere because they appear to be good, but they lost Sam Gagner, so watch out.
Yeah, it's big loss there. So what my thought was, Joel, is to ask for some help. And who knows these teams better than their fans, than the people who follow this team day in and day out? And so for each of these teams, over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be chatting with, and I know this week you were busy. We will see if perhaps next week you can also join and kind of help me to learn. Maybe you see some things that you want to ask questions about that I don't.
No, we already know that I'm not going to be there.
Oh, for this week's?
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, well, maybe the week after.
Maybe the week after. Wait, are you leading up to the fact that you got Jack Johnson to come and talk about all the teams that he's been on?
It's possible. No, I
have
not.
He hasn't been on the Ducks, but Kings close enough. It's basically the same, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, a Californian team. He could give me some tips.
They're all the same.
Yeah. No, it was not Jack Johnson. Today, this week, listening today, I was very excited to chat with the guys from Section 328. Mike and Derek are the definitive, hands down, best people out there if you want to learn about the Carolina Hurricanes, follow that team. And I thought, who better than folks who show up to every home game, tailgate before every game. These are the fan of the fan. They know the good and the bad of their team. So we had a chance to sit down and chat with them. Why don't you say we take a listen to what their thoughts are on the Hurricanes? Welcome back, everyone. We are very excited to have with us Mike and Derek, the hosts of the Section 328 podcast, everyone's favorite, and the definitive Carolina Hurricanes podcast. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
You are far too kind, sir.
Thank you for having us.
We the accolades are insufficient in that. So thank you very much for coming on. And as the listeners know, I've been looking for a new bandwagon team this offseason, and the Carolina Hurricanes are in the final three, and I'm here to get your help. Yeah. So congratulations, I guess, in making the podium. There's 29 teams, and you defeated at least 26 of them. So
we have not seen the finals of anything in quite a long time. So this is a high honor for us here in Carolina.
Well, and let's just get into it. Let's kind of sort it out. What I wanted to know is your help. So let's start with, why should I cheer for the Carolina Hurricanes?
I'll start there. This is Mike, and that's a great question. Why should you choose to cheer for a team that has not made the playoffs in the last 9 years? That's a great question, Carl. I think the reason is it's pretty simple. The Carolina Hurricanes are going to shock the world this season and come in second in the Metropolitan Division and make the playoffs. And if we know anything about the Carolina Hurricanes, when the Carolina Hurricanes make the Stanley Cup playoffs, they make at least a run to the Eastern Conference Finals. And based upon your previous bandwagonery, I think making it past the second round of any playoffs is going to be welcome in your household.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If I could see any conference finals, whether it be with my Avalanche or my bandwagon team, I'm all for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I really have much that I can add beyond Mike. I know you've been kind enough to let us know what all you want to talk about, and I think there's a lot to be excited about for this team. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think you may be making a smart choice should you decide to make the Sightless Eye your bandwagon team, Carl.
All right, well, let's get to some of those other topics that you mentioned. The Carolina Hurricanes, a team that I think for the masses are not super well known. There's not a lot of people who outside of Carolina follow them. They're not, as you mentioned, 9 years out of the playoffs, they're not on the general, even like quasi NHL fans' radar as a huge team. So,
ouch.
I'm sorry, but hey, you made the final three.
Words hurt, Carl. Words hurt.
I'm sorry. But that being said, I know from you guys that there is many great things to love about the Carolina Hurricanes. What would you say is like the hidden gem that the Hurricanes have?
Oh man. I think you could say that almost any gem about the Canes is hidden, considering I'm pretty sure over the last 3 seasons we've had maybe 4 nationally broadcast games. So unless your team is playing the Canes, odds are you have not seen us play. We have Jeff Skinner. We have Justin Falk. They've both been all-stars. Where I think are some hidden joys, Sebastian Aho. He just turned 20 years old today and is going to be a phenomenal player in this league. He's Finnish. He's fun. A lot of young Finns are just so much fun to watch. But Canes assistant coach Steve Smith said today on an interview with I forget which Sportsnet outlet in Canada, but he believes that Jacob Slavin is the most underrated player, not just defenseman, but player in the National Hockey League. Slavin's 22 years old. He just signed a 7-year deal or 7-year extension, and you could make an argument that he is the Hurricanes' best defenseman and is only going to get better. I think the oldest defenseman on our team is 25 years old, and we've got a pretty solid core. So if you're not familiar with the Hurricanes, I would say our defense is probably the hidden gem, and among those, Jacob Slavin is number 1 on that list.
Yeah, and I'll kind of echo what Derek said there about Jacob Slavin. He literally is everything you could ever want in a young leader. But let's go away from what's off the ice and just the impish charm of Jeff Skinner and Sebastian Aho together. Basically rank as, and I'll even throw in there Teuvo Teravainen. If you could take the embodiment of cute, adorable puppies and put them in a hockey sweater, they would almost be as cute as Turbo, Aho, and Skinner. I mean, the guys are just so darn lovable. And in the most, gosh darn golly gee, 12-year-old just ask your daughter to the middle school dance type of way. This team is just a lot of fun. They're kind of growing together too. It's a bunch of young guys. No one's out there doing the crazy party thing and kind of pulling the Tyler Seguin stuff. But this team is really kind of growing together, and those guys are just such a fun core to root for.
Well, and I think for a lot of people, myself included, I did not have an appreciation for Jacob Slavin until I noticed that he got a Norris vote, and I said, "Well, is that the Homer Carolina pick happening there?" And I, wanted to find out more about him because, as you mentioned, I watched a couple Carolina games this year, but not a ton, and definitely impressed with him and impressed with the young core of this team. But one thing you mentioned that I do not, it was not something I mentioned earlier, but one thing, the nicknames you mentioned, Turbo. Are there any other nicknames on this team that I'm going to need to know if I start to follow the Hurricanes? I don't want to be the guy asking who's Turbo come games number 7.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, we've almost got thrown out of the arena for yelling "fuck yeah" after another Justin Falk power play goal, but we're not working. We're not cursing here. We are rooting for our eldest defenseman on the ice. There's nothing special. I think Turbo has got him. We often refer to Jeff Skinner as little baby Skinner because he will forever and always be our little baby. At one point, we had a shot that involved. What was it, Derek? It was Irish cream and
coffee flavored tequila.
Yeah, that was a little baby Skinner shot, and it was sweet and delicious and made you happy. So
that sounds dangerous right there. That's what that sounds.
It was delicious,
Carl,
just like Jeff Skinner.
And where it gets really dangerous is when you take that shot and you make it into pudding, and you bring it to a tailgate. That's when it's led to problems. Mike kind of hinted at some other nicknames, but I really can't think of any others that aren't your classic hockey nicknames of taking a last name, cutting off the last syllable, and replacing it with E or Turbo is really the only one that isn't just a derivative of their last name that I can think of anyway.
But there's also the fun of having a guy having a potential line on your team where you have Rask and Stimpy, because anytime you can throw out a Ren and Stimpy thing, that's fun for us old guys.
Well, and as you mentioned, the Falk jokes are endless. So,
oh yeah,
only second to the Semin jokes, which we still make because we have no new material.
So whatever it takes, right? So. You guys got into what's great about the team and, obviously hurt your feelings a little bit with some of the negatives. But from you guys yourselves, what would you say is the worst part about being a Hurricanes fan? So that I know, Mike, like, if it stays bad and it hits like the worst case scenario, what am I in for?
So, Mike, do you want to talk about Cam Ward?
No, Derek, you talk about Cam Ward. I actually have something else I'd like to talk about.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, Carl, the worst part about being a Carolina Hurricanes fan is the endless guest room occupation of Cam Ward. Yes, I'm actually looking at my bookcase right now that has a figurine of Cam Ward holding the 2006 Conn Smythe Trophy at about shoulder height. And that was the peak of his career, and it's a peak of a lot of goalies' careers who were lucky enough to win that award. But since then, he has not been even a league average starting goaltender, and we have been hamstrung with some of the worst goaltending in the league for the last 3 or 4 years. Yes, other goalies have come in, and they've been even worse than Cam or about as bad, but the fact that he stays here and has a contract and has a glove hand that would be complimentary to call it a sieve is, in my opinion, the worst part of being a Canes fan, because at some point he's just going to get abused high glove, and every single person in the building knows it's coming. Mike, what you got?
It's Cam Ward's glove hand being bad is almost as bad as Quebec media after a 7-game losing streak, Carl. Nothing gets Quebec media frothier than the idea of reclaiming a hockey club to redeploy their beloved Vive la Nordique by stealing the Carolina Hurricanes from Raleigh. The Carolina Hurricanes have an abysmal owner. And I think if I'm going to say what's the worst thing about being a Carolina Hurricanes fan, it's going to be the fact that Peter Karmanos currently owns the team. The good news is we believe Chuck Greenberg is going to be the new owner of the Carolina Hurricanes in the very near future, upon which we shall all rejoice. Yay! Peter Karmanos has had this team in basically limbo for multiple years now, has not lived in the area, has not seemed to care much about doing anything new to energize this team, energize the area, kind of get it much plugged into the area. Last year, the Canes got in some new marketing blood and really started to do some new cool stuff, but they were doing it on a shoestring budget and really by hook or by crook. And I think right now the worst thing about being a Carolina Hurricanes fan is having horrible non-local ownership and the subsequent Quebec media frothing at every chance to say we're going to move them into our building even though our dollar is crap and we've already lost more teams. And that. So yeah, it's somewhere. It's ownership and the ownership in just the insufficientness of what we've got. But hopefully that's going to be fixed, much like our playoff drought.
Well, and that is great news because, with the new owner coming in, as an Avalanche fan, I'm currently stuck with the Kroenkes as my owner. And so, he's currently busy building his giant stadium out in LA and dealing with all of the Rams and really doesn't care about the fact that he also has the Nuggets and Avalanche over in Denver. So I definitely understand the forgotten stepchild franchise factor. So having a new guy come in, huge.
Is Stan Kroenke still going back and forth with Vince McMahon about who knows what?
I try to pay as little attention to what my owner's doing as humanly possible. It helps me sleep at night.
Hey, there we go. Commonalities right there, Carl.
There you go. So I'll fit right in.
Absolutely. Welcome aboard.
All right. So going from that to the team, you mentioned a lot of great players. Who would most likely become my favorite player? So I guess, who are your guys' favorite players?
Mike, the floor is yours.
My current favorite. Oh gosh, it's so hard, and that's been one of the tough things about the Carolina Hurricanes recently is that it's been so young, and we've just been so excited to see all of these kind of young guys come up. We have most hated players; those are very easy to come about, but just in terms of favorite players right now, it's tough to not like Jeff Skinner, because he is the guy who, while Jacob Slavin is absolutely the leader of the defense and a future Norris Trophy winner in my mind, Jeff Skinner is the guy who is going to get you out of his seat with some of the most dramatic, moves, the Skinn-o-ramas, just a great shot. And we all come to the games where, while we enjoy good defense and great Corsi, Jeff Skinner is the guy who's going to get me out of my seat every time. Take that, Derek.
I honestly think you win. That's the guy you should go with. But if you don't want to be the guy who's a fan of a guy who's already been an all-star, go with Sebastian Aho. I know I mentioned him earlier. He's fun. He plays with a lot of the same passion that Jeff Skinner does, though not as smiley, because I don't think anyone in the league is as smiley as Jeff Skinner is. But Sebastian Aho, for a guy who is generously listed at 5'11", 200 pounds, he wins a lot of puck battles. He plays an incredibly smart game for a guy who just turned 20 years old, has a good shot, plays the game well, and I think is going to be a outstanding player in this league for years to come. So if you want to hop on an early bandwagon, I would say go with Sebastian Aho.
Definitely been a big fan of what I've seen from Aho so far. So, I think ride Skinner, add Aho along as it comes, and just have both of them. There's always room for more friends.
You cannot go wrong with that.
Super best friends, actually.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jeff Skinner with his Skinn-o-rama. Does anyone ever call them a Skinn-o-rama? Because they should.
Oh, we've called them Skinn-o-ramas. We've also referred to them, if you're a Simpsons fan, we've also referred to them as steamed hams.
That's a good one. I like it. All right. So, you mentioned that you like good defense, you like good Corsi, but you want to score some goals. If you had to describe the style of play of the Hurricanes, what would you describe it as?
Defensively responsible. Bill Peters, who is our head coach, came from the Mike Babcock system in Detroit, and if there's one thing that he loves other than really clean water and being the most Albertan man in America, Bill Peters loves defense first. So he wants a team that both the defense is going to take care of their own end, but the forwards are going to be thinking about how can we make sure to not give up something stupid. So it's kind of a combination of that defensive responsibility, but letting the young guys go out there and skate. So it's a weird hybrid style, and I am by no means a hockey expert, but it's not the all-out attack you would see from a Peter Laviolette team where he just wants his guys to skate their bag off every single game, but it's not a trap style. I think it is really a hybrid, And then on defense, we want to limit shots because, as mentioned earlier, Cam Ward's been our starting goaltender. So the less rubber that he sees, the better it is for the boys in red and white. Mike, I don't know if you have any thoughts.
I think that's pretty good. I think part of the style of play, and again, this is definitely Bill Peters, but I think there is a small piece of our play that is potentially worked on by one of the NHL's top analytics gurus. A couple of years ago, we hired rocket scientist, and he is a literal MIT rocket scientist, in Eric Tulsky, one of the preeminent hockey analytics minds. And I believe you've seen some of that puck possession work and some of the lineup things that have been driven by Tulsky's analytics and the analytics decisions. I like to tell people, I was like, look, all of your Corsies will belong to us, because when we roll out a line of Jordan Staal, you run out Jordan Staal, Elias Lindholm, and Teuvo Teravainen. We've actually seen those guys have a solid 90-second cycle, do a full line change for Victor Rask, Jeff Skinner, and a warm body, and not lose possession a single time. Now, sometimes that leads to great opportunities, and sometimes it doesn't. We've undermanned Jordan Stahl's wings at times, but it is a lot of fun when you have that much offensive possession and really can drive play. I believe we did such, as I'm recalling, against the Colorado Avalanche last year.
Yeah, I remember that game. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Hold on. No, actually, I think last year we got either 0 or 1 points in both games against the Avalanche.
I think you're right, Derek, because that was one of those ones where we were like, oh yeah, look, lost points, yay.
Yeah, we're like, hey, one of the worst teams of the last decade is coming to Raleigh when we're playing well. And what do? We give Matt Duchene and company 2 points. Thanks for coming. And then we just go to the parking lot and swallow our sadness.
That's a great place to do that. You guys mentioned on the last episode of Section 328's Cheaters Never Win podcast the fact that, according to some people, and you talked about the fancy stats, according to some fancy stats people out there, the Carolina Hurricanes have had the best offseason, and not every piece that they added was a former Chicago Blackhawk. You also predicted second place in the Atlantic. This coming season, what kind of performance could I expect from the Hurricanes?
Ooh. Mike, I know you hinted at it earlier. You actually gave away how you think the Canes are going to finish. So I don't know if you want to elaborate that on.
Yeah,
on that
I tell you what, I think the Metropolitan Division is the toughest division in all of hockey, and I think this year's Carolina Hurricanes team are well positioned to be Nashville Predators like from a couple of years ago. Whereas the defense is young, the defense is strong, young guys are coming up, and we've added a lot of really nice pieces, particularly Justin Williams in this offseason is just a huge veteran addition for us, as we have a group of fairly young guys who are going to be moving forward. So is that a stretch? Yes, because you've got Washington, you've got Pittsburgh, you've got the Rangers. I personally think the Rangers are set for a huge fall because Hank Lundqvist is getting older, and they lost another swath of good players this year, and still have Mark Stahl on their team, who is awful at all of the hockeys. So I think the Carolina Hurricanes are going to be well positioned to make a playoff run this year, to finally break the 9-year drought. And Again, I'm a little bit bombastic here at the end of July, but I truly believe that the additions that General Manager Ron Francis has made this offseason is the biggest offseason in his general managing career, and are going to be the difference finally in Raleigh.
I don't know that I'm quite as optimistic as Mike.
Yeah, look, Derek doesn't like fun. News at 11. Go ahead, Derek.
Hey, look. Before last season, all of the 328 staff made our predictions for the season. All of us had the Hurricanes in the playoffs. Mike, were one of us right?
I was right about something at some point. Probably not the Hurricanes.
We all were right. With something. Most of us had Tampa Bay doing well, so that turned out pretty nicely. I think the Hurricanes are going to have an improved year. What I think the difference is going to be is Scott Darling in net. If he can just be league average, just be between the 13th and 18th best goalie in the league, that's not too much to ask. Based on the stats that I've looked at, that could get the Hurricanes an extra 6 to 8 wins in this season. And even if those wins came at the expense of overtime wins from last year, that 8 points could put the Canes in the playoffs. I don't know that we're going to be top 3 in the Metro, but I think we're going to be good enough for a wild card spot because I still see Pittsburgh ahead of us. The Capitals are going to fall, the Rangers are going to fall, but I think Philly's going to be better, Jersey's better, even though Jersey was trash last year, and I think Columbus is going to come back down to earth, and I think it's going to be a really competitive division, but I see the Canes getting enough points to finally, dear God, finally break the playoff drought. And Carl, you asked about why you should cheer for this team. I don't know if you saw any of it from the previous playoff runs that the Canes have made, but playoff hockey in Carolina with the way that we tailgate is a sight to behold. And if that happens now, oh, look out. All the fun is going to be had in Raleigh.
Well, and I'll have to celebrate on the other side of the continent. While you guys celebrate down there, live vicariously through the tailgate parties down there that you guys are notorious for having great ones. So definitely a lot of quality reasons. Nothing you have said has made me less excited at the prospect of being a Carolina Hurricanes fan.
Well, we'll even go to this. We've talked a lot about the team, but one of the great things about Derek pointed out was, the environment around this team. We haven't been good for 9 seasons, but we still have 100 people deep at our tailgates at the beginning and the end of the season. We get together 5-6 hours before a game on weekend games. We may crack a pop or two. We'll grill out some solid food, maybe some pork tacos, maybe a little bit of barbecue, maybe some brisket if we're feeling frisky, and just the communal environment that's around this team and around this fan base is something special. You don't get this in a lot of other areas, and we're one of the few arenas that is really kind of set up to have multi-hour tailgates before and or after the game, depending upon how you're feeling. So I would say this, and we're a welcoming bunch, so we'd like to formally invite you. Choose us, please, Carl. Become a Caniac with us. Join the Redvolution, as the marketing slogan would say. But when the Carolina Hurricanes do make the playoffs, and they will, just know that there is a room waiting for you in the Section 328 Worldwide Headquarters for you to bunk for the first round of the playoffs.
I am honored for the invite. I will most certainly take you up on that. So
come on.
I love it. Thank you guys very much for coming on the show today. Obviously, we can find you in Section 328 for every Carolina Hurricanes game, but where else can we find you guys?
You can find us over. You can find us over on the Twitter sphere at Section_328.
Respect the underscore.
Yes. We have the blog, section328.com, where you can read about all the latest Carolina Hurricanes happenings, some of the latest happenings in Raleigh. We also do enjoy a good adult beverage or two. So while the downtime is happening, we're drinking and reviewing a lot of really good local North Carolina beers. So you can come check out the beer reviews, and you can also check out the merch. We've got silly shirts like an Aho Train T-shirt if you want to jump on the Aho train before other people do. So that's it. We appreciate you guys having us on, and we look forward to a formal announcement of which bandwagon you will be joining here in the very near future.
Absolutely. You guys will know when I make my decision, and you made a very strong case. We'll see what the other guys can bring, but you've set the bar high.
We do what we can.
And if you do come, would you do us a favor? Would you pack Matt Duchene in a suitcase and bring him with you?
I'll do what I can, but no promises there.
Yeah. And look, if Joe Sakic won't let you take Matt Duchene because he wants all of your worldly possessions, see if you can just take Nathan McKinnon out the side door while he's not looking. We're good with that too.
Yeah, I might be able to get you a fresh Will Butcher. How do you feel about that?
Who?
The Mr. Hobie Baker winner. He's jilting us at the altar. So it's a little disappointing. Do you want an award-winning defenseman? So you can have one.
Nah, we're actually good on defensemen. We just need a top center. So anybody that Colorado can spare, we're good with, as long as Joe Sakic is not setting prices while on that Colorado legal greenery.
Well, I'll do what I can. Thank you guys very much for coming on. We will make sure to check out all your Carolina Hurricanes content over at section328.com and on Twitter at section_328.
Awesome. Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you guys very much for coming on. Make sure to check them out, section328.com, at section_328 on Twitter. Great chat with them. And for me, very useful. I learned a lot about the team. Because really, like, my biggest concerns were, Cam Ward and the ownership there. The team's been offered to be bought. And I didn't want to go with my Avalanche with the terrible neglected ownership of Stan Kroenke, and then go cheer for a bandwagon team as well that has the same thing. But it looks like that's going to get resolved if and when that purchase goes through. So that's good. And goaltending wise, Cam Ward is apparently much worse than I actually thought he was. I knew he wasn't good. I didn't know he was that bad though.
No, he's bad. He's really bad. The question, though, is Scott Darling any better?
Oh. From the sounds of what they had to say, you and I would probably be better than Cam Ward at this point.
Because
if we dressed up as a pantomime horse in net, we would be a better goaltender than Cam Ward.
Because here's the thing, though, about Darling, and this is because, man, you crushed the Scott Darling signing. You did not enjoy that for the Canes when that first originally happened. And for the reason, because he is a goaltender behind one of the best teams in the league.
Yes.
And completely unproven.
Yeah, he hasn't had a lot of chances to do that.
So, because, this is the same reason why nobody else in the league wants Corey Crawford. Nobody does. Because... you want to know what? If Corey Crawford started on another team, that team would not enjoy that experience. He's probably a fine backup goalie, but I think Chicago makes their goalies look better than they actually are.
Agreed. And from that point, there isn't, that much of a difference between Scott Darling and Corey Crawford. So yeah, I agree 100%, but the potential is there. And looking at that Canes roster, yeah, if any other team were to sign a guy to a $4 million 4-year contract, you'd be like, that's not very good. But the Canes have cap space for days, so it doesn't hurt them. But it's not it's nothing to get excited about, really. But
the question, so with the Canes, it's not about money. It's about am I going to enjoy the experience of watching this guy play? Here's the thing. This is the question that I have for you.
Okay.
Are you really going to tune in and watch Carolina Hurricane hockey? You're going to choose, because you, in previous years, have chosen to sit down and watch Washington Capitol hockey.
Yes.
So you are actually going to, at some point, on a Saturday night, you're going to be like, what would be great right now? Some Carolina Hurricane hockey.
Well, on a Saturday night, I'll probably watch Hockey Night in Canada. And then
you're going to watch Toronto Maple Leaf hockey, is what you're saying.
So I'll watch, Leafs, Habs, whoever's playing the early game, and then, the late game, there'll be Oilers, Flames, Canucks, whoever's playing there.
Oh, no, we fully know that the Leafs and the Oilers are the two actual CBC games this year. They are going to be on CBC. You think the Leafs have been on CBC a lot previous years?
Yeah, that's all that they had. It might as well be Leafs Oilers night in Canada.
Hold on, Canada. You're about to get a lot of Leafs and Oilers this year. You can go to Sportsnet and what's City? What's that weird one that it's always
City.
on? Yeah, like it's a lot of Leafs and Oilers on the main one.
But I'm looking at like on a Tuesday night. Who am I tuning into? I'm tuning into the Avalanche, and I would be tuning in to the Carolina Hurricanes as that second team, and the early game, because that game will start at 5:00, and then the Avs game will start at 7:00.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Because you realize you're probably like you would literally be the only Canadian doing that,
like intentionally watching for that team.
Oh no, you would be the only, unless a Canadian team is playing the Hurricanes, you would be the only Canadian watching Hurricane games. Because
I'm okay with that.
There's
nothing
about
wrong with that.
7 people in Carolina that watch the Hurricanes. Like, so you would you would bump up the percentage of fans by like dozens.
It's fine. Let's give it the old fourth line bump. Let's do it.
Yeah, so have you? Did your conversation with them make you more or less likely to be a Hurricanes fan?
I think it made it more likely.
Ooh, so are they the leaders in the clubhouse?
I think it's tough to say because I haven't given the other teams a chance to plead their case yet.
Yeah, but you need to let those people know. You need to, because they'll fight harder then.
I think because I've been sold, had the case made for the Hurricanes. Yeah, they're the leader in the clubhouse because of that. I think if I had chatted with, some Ducks folks or Jackets people first, then they probably, unless like with the Jackets, not gonna lie, if they had any coach other than John Tortorella, that would probably be the leader in the clubhouse. So if they couldn't convince me that Torts, let's say they're like, yeah, Torts is a terrible coach, we don't like him, blah, 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 blah. I mean, okay, then you're done. But I feel like any of these people can't convince you well to cheer for their team. So anyone who I talk to first would probably be the leader of the clubhouse.
So you're saying that the only way that you cheer for the Jackets is if someone can convince you that John Tortorella is a good coach.
Well, he clearly is talented in some areas. What I want to know is, why is John Tortorella someone that I want to enjoy cheering for? Is that a fun experience?
It's not. It's like the Cam Ward experience of coaching.
Angrier though.
Oh, you've never met Cam Ward. He could be an angry fellow.
He seems quite calm.
He is the Cam Ward of coaches if Cam Ward had Cam Ward's talent, but Ron Hextall's attitude.
Yeah. That's fair. Won a cup once?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has Tortorella won a cup? Oh, yeah, back in Lightning days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. I feel like everywhere Tortorella has gone, he's either been really bad and you're just like, oh, that's a bad coach, or the team's been really good, but you're just like, is it they just have good players though?
Is he actually getting more out of his teams?
Yeah, because that Tampa team was pretty good. Are they? I don't know. They had you had Brad Richards, Cavalier, St. Louis, and the Boulin Wall playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
Anyone's gonna do good with that. Didn't they have Danny Boyle too?
Yeah, when he was good.
Danny Boyle was always good.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll see next week. I think we're going to be chatting with some Ducks people, so we'll see what the Ducks bring, if they can convince me to jump on their bandwagon. There's some news this week, and by some I mean 2 real pieces of news worth talking about. Ryan Johansen signed an 8-year, $8 million per year contract to stay with the Nashville Predators, meaning there's one less restricted free agent available for no one to sign to an offer sheet. I think the general consensus from people is a little bit of an overpay. But when I look at that entire Nashville team, they can afford an overpay. And when you have a number one center, you don't want to let them go. Nashville for so long, they always said, we need a center, we need a center. They traded Seth Jones so they could get a number one center. And they have him now. To nickel and dime this guy out of town does not make sense for a team that for so long desperately needed him.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be a bit of an overpay, but
what, like, if it was $1 million less, are people saying it's an overpay? Are you saying like I think if it's $7 million, you're like, yeah, that's a fair number.
Yeah, it might. If it was 7x7, you're probably like, yeah, that makes sense. The 8x8, you're just like, yeah, it's okay. Still only 32 when it's done. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't think it's that much of an overpay, if it is at all. Like, I don't know. It's just tough to say. You're getting a guy who's going to give you 45 assists and then hopefully 20 goals. That's kind of what you're hoping for.
And if that's what you get out of him, you are quite happy.
Yeah, and I think on like the open market, you're probably paying a bit less than that for a 65-point guy. But
would you though? Like if Ryan Johansen hit the open market, what would his dollar number be? Because again, you can only sign him to 7 years on the open market, so
probably about the same. Like you're not going to get more, like just because of his age. That's the thing. But like if you're saying like a guy with his point totals, first line-ish center, but is 29 instead of 24, yeah, you're not going to be paying him as much. That's the thing, right? You're like, that's why I think he got. That's like it's totally his age is why he got more than what I think people kind of looked at it. But like if you were looking at a guy that was 28 and he got this, you'd be like, that's a huge overpay for sure. But I think because of his age, it's probably pretty good. I am surprised. Are you surprised that he's making more than Forsberg? Like, that was the one surprising thing for me.
I'm not, just because contracts have gone through the roof this offseason.
Right.
Like, everyone is making more money now. So no, it doesn't surprise me, because if you look at centers, what they got last year on those length of deals as well, like he's making way more than people got last year. So yeah, like if you looked at the Nathan MacKinnon contract, it's slightly different because him and Scheifele, both centers as well, signed right off their entry level deal. So they're signing away less years of restricted free agency, but McKinnon's making $6.3 million on his contract for 7 years.
He's also 4 years younger.
Yeah. But like that's the comparable of what restricted free agents would have gotten last year. And now you have Ryan Johansen making, another $1.7 million more than that this year. I think that's just the way that raises went. This offseason, teams are spending a lot of money.
Scheifele makes like that. I guess that's a comparable. Like, are we? Maybe this hits too close to home. Are we sure McKinnon's as good as Johansen though?
Joel. Yes, we are. Don't worry.
Wait. Okay. So like straight up point total. What's the comparable? I don't think McKinnon's hitting 65 points, is he?
If you were to put Nathan MacKinnon on the Nashville Predators, who would be better? It's MacKinnon.
Are we sure?
Yes. We, the Fourth Line Podcast, are certain of that fact.
I'm not so certain about this. I'm not so certain.
That is the official stance of the Fourth Line Podcast. Nathan MacKinnon would outperform Ryan Johansen. We are certain.
okay. I'm a little skeptical about that.
Okay, but again, Scheifele 6.125 for 8 years in Winnipeg. Like, just prices went up. So, and Forsberg signed his deal previously. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they were. If Forsberg were to sign this year, I would assume he would probably get $8 million.
Yeah, of those three, Scheifele is the best. Like, of the three, that's the guy you want the most.
Probably, yeah.
So, and he's closer. That's a better comparable because he's the same age as Johansen, but McKinnon, that guy needs to get his act together.
Well, we are well aware that entire team needs to get their act together. So,
yeah, like what?
Who changed the topic?
Well, the reason why I want to continue down this path is because the other notable news thing is really not notable news, and it's just everyone made a huge deal about it.
Right, and Andrei Markov leaving the Habs, going to the KHL. He is not going to be. He says he's open to coming back to the NHL, but he signed a 2-year deal to play in the K. So
isn't he like 40 as it is?
Yeah, so he's not coming back to the NHL. His NHL career is done. The only reason that I find it notable is there was really only one thing that Andrei Markov still provided to the Habs, and that is the fact that over the last 3 seasons, he had a point on 43% of Montreal Canadiens' power play goals.
Oh.
So when I look at that, I'm like, okay, the Habs need to find someone who can replace that potential, and they really have to put all that hopes and dreams in the hands of Karl Alzner, the only competent guy that they brought in on defense. Can Karl Alzner do that? He's a very different player than what Markov is. They're not going to have it from that. So the Habs power play is going to be much different. They're going to be relying more on Jonathan Drouin and the guys up front than Karl Alzner, Shea Weber, and the guys on the back end.
You forgot about Jeff Petrie.
No, I didn't.
That guy is going to be a stalwart on that power play.
By a stalwart, do you mean like he'll play like Mark Stahl? Because that could be accurate.
Wow. Mark Stahl sitting on his couch listening to the sports line. Hey, what did I do? What about Jordy Ben? Jordy Ben takes the next step.
Yeah, I could see Jordy Ben taking a step forward.
Do you know how old Jordy Ben is?
26.
30.
Wow. Good for him.
That guy is old.
As a 30-year-old, you would know that.
Yeah. It's super. He's like, from when he came into the league, like I feel like he hasn't been around that long, and he's 30. Apparently, he must be the older of the Ben brothers.
Yeah, he is the oldest. I think he's the third oldest Stahl brother, but the oldest Ben brother.
Yeah, the oldest. He's just. Do you ever think the Ben brothers and the Stahl brothers like have games against each other? They should.
That's not fair. Because then it'd be 3-on-2 though. Like I guess Jamie's the better one though. So.
Yeah, like especially now. Maybe like when Eric Stahl was like scoring 90 goals a season.
Yeah. I can see them. Why not? They should do that.
The Bens probably have another brother. He's
probably.
probably playing in like some Euro league.
Or an accountant like Cooper Manning.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Oh, Cooper.
So that is really all that happened this week in the NHL. Not a whole lot of other news coming out. One thing that it was kind of news, but people are still. I think it became more news because Connor McDavid was at an event in Toronto. I think in regards to the Rogers Cup. Is that the tennis thing that happens there?
Are you sure he wasn't there for Smashville or whatever?
Smashfest? The
Smash
table tennis?
Table tennis.
I don't know. He was there for something. He was at a Rogers sponsored event with Aaron Sanchez and Eugenie Bouchard. That's why I thought it was tennis maybe. Apparently you had one tennis player. I'm like, oh, definitely a tennis event. But he was asked about the Olympics and said he was disappointed that the NHL wasn't going. And so everyone was the Olympics was brought back up. Apparently, Hockey Canada is deciding that our team will be stocked with the old people that the NHL doesn't want anymore. Because our rumored top line, maybe it would probably end up having to be our top line, is a line of Mike Fisher, Shane Doan, and Jerome McGinley. How would you feel? Like, I know you don't care about the Olympics nearly as much as me, but like, would it make you even less want to watch a Shane Doan, Mike Fisher, Jerome McGinley top line?
Oh, I will not watch the Olympics. I could care less about the Olympics. Like, I'm not, like, yeah, it's fine when the NHL players, it's decent hockey, it's fun, Canada always wins, it's great. I'll watch, I get into it. I will not care at all in 2018. It means nothing. So
even if Canada were to make the finals, would you watch that?
Maybe. Doubtful, though. Because, like, do you really want to watch them lose to Russia? Like, is that...
And wake up at, what would it be, 3 in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning to watch them lose to Russia?
Yeah, that doesn't sound good. They're not making the final. I appreciate your hypothetical situation, but, like, Canada is by far going to be one of the biggest underdogs. They're going to, like, Canada is going to start, like, being, like, at par with Belarus in this.
I would say it's better than that, but certainly the favorites going into it will be Sweden and Russia.
And specifically Russia.
Yes.
Because a lot of Sweden, because, like, Russia still has, they still have, not all of the best Russians come to the NHL. A handful of them or more stay in Russia for the KHL. Where Sweden, most of the best guys come to the NHL. Like,
True.
They don't have, Swedish leagues.
The Swedish,
they still have.
Yeah. But their Olympic team, the Swedish Olympic team does have, a number of SHL players on it. So from that angle, there are still, like, players that were competent enough to be on their Olympic team when they lost to Canada in Sochi would still be there. So yeah, I think definitely Russia, then Sweden, and then Canada is in the mix with every other team. So yeah, it makes it, when you look at, like, oh, that's who we might be sending, it gets a little more disappointing.
Yeah. I don't know. Canada is going to be probably 5th or 6th on, like, as far as, like, if there's odds being put out, they'd probably be in that 5th or 6th range. You got,
probably,
like,
yeah. Finland.
Russia, Finland, Sweden, and then you have some sort of order, like, I always forget, like,
yeah.
I
put like the Czechs, Slovaks, Canada, US, they're kind of that next grouping.
Yeah.
And
who knows, and that's, who knows, depending on the team. But, like, Canada does not, like, it's going to be ugly. Unless, the only thing that I could see, and this would be interesting, and I may pay attention if they do this, if, like, say, like, the CHL is like, yeah, we'll take a break during the Olympics and we'll let all of our CHL players go.
So we essentially just send our World Junior team back out there.
Can our World Junior team win a gold in the Olympics versus
grown men from Russia? That'd be fun to watch.
I bet you they could medal. I bet you the World Junior team could medal. Because they use the World Juniors as prep. You don't care about the World Juniors.
Well, and
it's just all about chemistry.
They care. Well, they would care way more about the World Juniors too, I would think. Like, yeah, you care, but, like, you want to get really good so that in, like, a month and a half you can get back out there and do it again for the Olympics.
Yeah, so it's like, it's a different kind of caring. It's about preparing, getting ready, setting your lines, gaining that chemistry, figuring out your plays.
Yeah.
Getting solid as a team, figuring out who your goalie is going to be. So, although you could probably see that's the interesting thing. You could probably get a better, because, like, that's, like, the biggest hole in the World Juniors is, like, goalies are bad in junior.
Yeah.
So you could probably get a better goalie. Just convince Luongo to take a couple weeks off. He doesn't need the $1 million that he's gonna miss.
Just not even that. I guess if they take away his salary, yeah, like just take the whole season salary, he loses out on $1 million for sure.
Yeah, like this, he doesn't need that.
No,
he probably doesn't even. He's probably in the backload, like the back end of his contract where he's not making any money right now. That'd be hilarious. That I would watch. So you have the World Junior team with Roberto Luongo as the goalie.
He's still Luongo. This is how much longer he has left on his deal. He's still making $6.7 million this year.
Okay, so he for missing 3 weeks, getting suspended for not showing up for 3 weeks.
He'd miss, $1 million, probably $1.5 million.
At the most, yeah. That's okay. James Reimer can play while he's gone.
Yeah.
Markstrom can come up from the AHL.
We don't even know who the Panthers' third goalie is.
Florida Panthers fans should be happy that we named their 2. Like, that's how it happened. Like,
yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. I like your World Junior idea, though. If there is a way that we could make that happen, I would for sure care way more about the Olympics.
Yeah. You know who's going to be bad? The U.S.
Well, because they'll essentially just have to bring like all their college kids, right? Like that's
if they can. You can't.
I guess
that's like right in the middle, like right before their like Frozen 4 or whatever they do.
Just delay it.
Is that like? Does Disney sponsor the NCAA Final Four for hockey?
Just send them an email. They probably
should.
They
don't. They should. Like that's a great marketing opportunity. You can just play every time someone scores. You could play "Let It Go," and
that would be the new goal song. They'd replace your Taylor Swift option with "Let It Go."
Yeah, and then you could get some. I don't know who's like a parody songwriter could like figure out how to
Weird Al.
Yeah, but not like a newer. Do we have a newer parody songwriter?
I don't think so. I think he's kind of cornered that market.
We need to get that. That guy doesn't still release songs, does he?
Yeah, he does. I think he just does it through his website. He's progressed to like the digital age where he's just like releases singles after singles. Yeah.
Okay, there's probably a good parody with that Snowman song with hockey somehow.
Yeah, I do not know the Frozen movie well enough to know about a snowman, so.
No, the song, the one that the only reason why I know it is because of the mashups that are hilarious on YouTube, where the girl's knocking on the door, asking the other if she wants to build a snowman.
Oh, that snowman song.
Yeah, that snowman song. That thing, the mashups are hilarious on YouTube with that thing. There's so much gold there. See, that's what I'm saying. Like you could turn that song into. See, seriously, that's how college hockey. Get your act together. Hook it up with Frozen, the Disney movie, and you got that's some good cross branding something. I don't know. I'm not a marketer. I don't know the right words.
That's fair. Well, Joel, that brings us to the end of the show this week, I think.
That seemed like we only recorded for half an hour.
That is because we did only record for half an hour.
Oh. Well, there you go.
That's what happens when we chat with the Section 328 fellas, Mike and Derek over there.
I'm going to go back to bed.
All right. Well, thank you for waking up to come talk hockey with us. You guys can let us know your thoughts on the internet, whether it be on the Twitters, the Pinterest, or the Facebook. Let us know your thoughts on the Carolina Hurricanes as my bandwagon team. Do you support that? What were your thoughts on what we had to talk about today? So you can find us over on Twitter at the Fourth Line Podcast. No, that's not it. It's Fourth Line Podcast. No, at twitter.com/Fourth Line Podcast. Words are hard. Joel's going to go back to bed. I still need some more coffee or a nap. Facebook.com/The Fourth Line Podcast and thefourthlinepodcast.com. Patreon.com/Fourth Line Podcast. Lane Dashko had his debut article for the website. So thank you, Lane, for joining up on the site. He did his review of the NHL 18 beta. So if you want to know what to expect this year in NHL 18, head over there and you can see his thoughts over on the fourthlinepodcast.com. Joel, thank you very much for waking up to be with us today. Enjoy your nap. We'll be back next week talking some Anaheim Ducks, talking about the one news story that's probably going to drop this week. And we're out.
Boom City.